So welcome everybody to this latest video on 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be going over the AQA GCSE June 2020 Foundation Paper 2, which is a calculator paper. So let's get started on this AQA GCSE Maths June 2020 Foundation Paper 2, which is calculators allowed. So looking at question 1, it says circle the ratio that is the same as 3 to 4. So again, as you can notice that all the ratios start with 6. So then what do we need to multiply 3 to get to 6? Well, we need to multiply that by 2, and 4 times 2 is 8. So the correct ratio is the second option of 6 to 8. For question 2, it says circle the size of angle X. Well, we know that angles around a point add up to 360. So if we take away the two other known angles, we get 110, so 360 minus 210 gives me 250, which is our third option. Question 3, it says circle the expression that is the smallest value when x equals 4. So when x equals 4, this is going to equal 5 minus 4, which is 1. This is going to be a half of 4, which is 2. X plus 1 is 1 plus 4, which is 5. And 4 take away 4 is 0. So the smallest answer is therefore going to be this one. Now moving on to question 4, it says the term-to-term rule for the sequence is add 1 and then double. So the first two terms are 2 and 6. Circle the next term. So starting with 6, we plus 1, that equals 7. Double that equals 14. So it's our third option. Question 5.8 says solve 7x equals 56. So just got to divide by 7, in which then I get 8. And then for question 5b, we've got 25 minus a number equals 18. Well, that's going to be 7. Moving on to question 6, it says 11 people play a game. Here are their scores, and it says write down the mode. Now the mode is the most popular, and as you can see, the most popular score we can see there is going to be 9 just. And it says then work out the median. Well, to work out the median, first thing we need to do is order the numbers. Now we've got 11 numbers, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. And what I need to do now is order the numbers. Now I'm not playing hangman, it's just a way so that I don't miss out any numbers. So starting with the smallest, I've got 3. And then what you can do is kind of just tick off the numbers that you got so you're not duplicated, but try not to completely obliterate the numbers because obviously you may need to use them again. And then so then I've got 3 9s, so let's write those 3 9s. So 1, 2, 3, and then my next smallest is 12, then 14, then 15, then 16, and then 2 18s, and then a 20. Now the median number is the one that's in the middle, which in this case is 14. Moving on to question 7, it says the line AB is shown, and it says where A is the point of 1, 0, and B is the point 5, 8. And A says P is the point on AB. The distance between AP is half the distance of AB. Work out the coordinates of P. So P is the midpoint, and the midpoint of this line is here. So that means that what is that coordinate? Well, that's going to be 3, 4. Next question then says that a line is drawn from B that is parallel to the x-axis and meets the y-axis at Q. Work out the coordinates of Q. So we know that the line starts here. We know it's parallel to the x-axis, which means that the line must be horizontal. And we know that Q lies on the x-axis, the y-axis. So this is where Q is going to be. Going to be here. And what's that coordinate? Well, that's going to be 0, 8. Moving on to question 8a, it says write down an even whole number that is a square number. Now there's a couple of options you can have here. Again, with the calculator, in terms of the common basic ones, we've got, just writing down the first couple, we've got 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, and we've got 121, 144. So basically any even number squared, the answer again will give you a complete valid one. So any of these numbers, there is literally an infinite number of possibilities you can give for this. Any of those circle ones, let's just go for 4. Then says write down all the cube numbers that are between 100 and 400. Well, if you get your calculator in terms of this now, obviously in terms of cube numbers, where it's the first cube number that goes beyond 100 is 5 cubed, which is 125. I then do 6 cubed, 7 cubed, 8 cubed, 9 cubed, and then 10 cubed, which is 1000. I only want the ones between 400, so it shouldn't be a massive list. So if I then do 6 cubed, which is 216, 7 cubed, 3, yeah, and then 8 cubed, which is 512. Now I don't need to continue because the only ones I want are between 100 and 400, so my correct answer should be 125, 216, 3. For 8C, it says write down two numbers that are multiples of 3 and multiply to make 216. Now for this there are several possible answers you can have. So we could have either 3 and 72, or you can have 6 and 36, could have 9 and 24, and you could have 12 or 18. So any of those options would be fine to get the one single mark. Moving on to question 9, it says that members of a club are senior, adult or junior. Here is a report about members of the club, and we've got 18%, 15%, 54% and 38%. It says give a reason why there must be a mistake in the report. Well, the typical most obvious one is that they don't all add up to 100%. Obviously there's no fourth option. It then says that an adult membership fee is £120, junior membership fee is 1/5 of the adult fee. Work out the total membership of 2 adults and 3 juniors. So the first thing we need to do first is work out what the junior membership costs. So junior membership equals 1/5 of 120. Now if I just type that into my calculator, because obviously we can, so 1/5 of means times, we get it so that it equals £24. So if we know that an adult membership costs 120, a kids membership costs £24, we can then work out what 2 adults and 3 juniors is going to be. And how do we do that? Well, it's going to be 2 lots of 120 plus 3 lots of 24. Again, if I just simply put that into my calculator, so 2 times 120 plus 3 times 24 gives me a total answer of £312. For question 10, it says here is a number machine and we want to work out the output when the input is 16. So what I'll do is do 16 times 4 plus 9. Now whenever you're doing a function machine, whenever you move a step, always press equals, just because a function machine doesn't really apply for BIDMAS. It kind of just works with brackets. So here we've got 16 times 4, press equals, plus 9 equals, and we get an answer of 73. It says here is a different number machine. It says work out the output when the input is minus 48. So we've got minus 48 plus 6 divided by 2 equals. And again, what we're going to do is just press equals after each of those steps. So I've got minus 48 plus 6 equals, divided by 2, press equals, and get an answer of 21. Then looking at question 10C, it says complete the number machine. Now for this, what we want to do is work at the opposite. So here we're going to try and meet in the middle. So I've got 5 and then I need to add 10. So then that then becomes 15 and that then becomes 5. So 5 times what equals 15. Again, how I've got that is by adding 10, which then equals 15. So 5 times what equals 15? Well, the answer is going to be. The next question, question 11, says here are 2 calculations. It says which calculations has the smaller answer, and so you must show your answer to each calculation. So for A, what I've got to do is 17 squared minus 300, And again, all I'm going to do is just simply type that into my calculator. So I've got 17 squared minus 300 equals, and it gives me minus 11. And for B, I've got 47 times 21 minus 10 cubed equals, and again, straight on the calculator, 47 times 21 minus 10 cubed equals, and it's minus 13. And the question is, which of the two numbers is smaller? It's going to be B. The next question says, match each expression on the left with one on the right. This is the first one has been done for you. So this one here is going to be a plus a plus a plus a, which is 4a. That's going to be going there. 4 times a times b is 4ab. So that is our top option. And a times a times a times a is a to the power of 4, which is, and we've got one more. So we've got a plus b, which is 2a plus 2b, which again, here. Moving on to question 13, it says Jenny works 30 hours and is paid £318. Calvin works 28 hours and gets paid £287. Jenny is paid more per hour than Calvin, but how much more? So in terms of Jenny, what we need to do is work out the hourly rate. So what I'm going to do is we do 318 divided by 30, and let's just type that into our calculator. So 318 divided by 30 equals, she gets paid £10.60 an hour. And if we look at Calvin, which we do 287 divided by 28, and again 287 divided by 28 gives me an answer of £10.25 per hour. And the question's asking in what's the difference? Well, it's going to be 10.60 minus 10.25, which gives me an answer of 0.35. Now what's that in pence? Well, it's 35 pence. Do not write 0.35 because that's in pounds, as the calculation I've been given is in pounds. Looking at question 14, it says this circle has circle C, WX. So looking at question 14, it says this circle has centre C, W, X, Y are points on the circle, and WY is a straight line. It says tick one box for the correct statement. Now in terms of this, let's have a look at what we've got. So WY is a diameter. Now it looks like the diameter where it is because obviously it goes through the centre, so that is true. WX is the radius, so WX is not the radius, so that is false. The shaded section is a sector, that is false because it is a segment. And the arc X and Y is part of the circumference, so X and Y is, the arc is part of the circumference, that is true. So looking at question 15, it says mortar is made by mixing cement and sand as shown. So for every 1 kilogram of cement, add 4 kilograms of sand. Cement costs 19 pence per kilo and sand costs 7 pence per kilo. Thomas uses 150 kilograms of cement to mix a mortar. Work out the total cost of the mortar. So let's first of all break some of these problems down. So for example, here we've got the ratio of cement to sand in the ratio of 1 to 4. Now it says, and that's basically using this bit of key information. Now we know that Thomas has 150 kilograms of cement, so this here is going to be 150 kilograms. So 1 part equals 150, so then 4 parts is going to be 4 lots of that, which is 600. So that means we've got 600 kilograms of sand. Now the next thing we need to do is work out the cost. So the cost of 150 kilograms of sand is going to equal, and for this we need to just write down the calculation. So we've got 0.9 times 150 equals, and let's just type that into our calculator, so 0.19 150 equals £28.50. And then if I then work out the cost of 600 kilograms of sand. Well, actually, that should be cement, so let's correct that. And sand should be 0.07 times 600, and so 0.07 times 600 equals 42. And then all I then need to do is add those two amounts. Just do that. So 42 plus 28.50 equals a total of £70. And moving on to question 16a, it says here is the shape made of from rectangles, and we need to work out the area. Now the first thing you want to do is work out the missing length. So if all of this length is 9 and this length here is 4, what plus 4 gives you 9? Well, that's going to be 4. And to work out the next one, if all of this is 8 and this bit is 2, what plus 2 gives you 8? And that's going to be 6. So from this, all I need to do is split these two rectangles into two rectangles. Let's split it there. So this one is going to be 9 times 2 and this one's going to be 6 times 4. So 9 times 2 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. And if we just simply add those numbers up, we get 2 and we get 42. So the area then is 42 centimeters squared. Looking at question 16b, it says Zach wants to work out the area of the triangle. Here is his working out. Where is he gone wrong? Well, the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. What's Zach done? He's done the base times the height, but he's not divided by 2. So that's all we need to do. So just say that he's not divided. 2 area should be 48 centimeters squared, not 96 centimeters squared. Looking at question 17, it says here are shapes P, Q, and R, and the question says P is mapped to Q on a single transformation. Circle the transformation. That there is going to be a reflection. Then 17b says P is mapped onto R, so P to R, so we're going from this one to this one, and the question's asking us which of the single transformations has been done to that, and that's going to be a rotation. So the next question 18 says Kim buys pet food in 1.5 kilogram packs. Her pet needs 0.8 kilograms of food each week. She wants to have enough food for the next 14 weeks. She already has 2 1.5 kilogram packs. Work out the smallest number of packs that she then needs to buy. So first of all, let's have a look at what she's already got. So we've got 1.5 kilograms plus 1.5 kilograms, which equals 3 kilograms. That's what she's got already. Now, if the pet needs 0.8 times 14, so if I work that out, 0.8 times 14 equals, the pet needs 11.2 kilograms of food. So in terms of how much food that we then need, if I then do 11.2 take away 3, and that's going to give me 8.2. So that's how much more she needs. So what we then want to do is do 8.2 divided by 1.5 to see how many bags that she then needs to get. So 8.2 divided by 1.5 equals, and it's going to be 5.4, and so she's going to need 6 bags. Looking at question 19, it says the scale drawing shows the positions of P, Q, R. On the scale drawing, P to Q is 4 centimeters, Q to R is 6.5 centimeters. The actual distance to P to Q is 50 meters less than the actual distance from Q to R. Work out the scale. So looking and reading this part of the question, we can see that 50 meters less must be the difference between these two lengths. So 50 meters, now let's just have a look at how they want in the scale. So here we've got 2.5 centimeters, equals 50 meters. So then what we will then want to do is convert this into 1 centimeter. So how do I convert 2.5 to 1? Well, I divide by 2.5. So if I then divide this by 2.5, I'm then going to get 50 divided by 2.5, which gives me an answer of 20. So 1 centimeter represents 20 meters. Then looking at question 20, it says A and B are whole numbers. Work out the largest possible value of 2a plus b. Now for this, to get the biggest possible value, I want this to be the biggest and this to be the biggest. So what I need to do is I need to pick the biggest whole number that satisfies each of these. So the biggest whole number that A can be is 12, and the biggest B value is going to be 8, because obviously it can't be 9. So here I've got 2 times 12 plus 8, which is 24, plus 8, which is 32. Then looking at question 20b, it says x and y are both negative numbers. Show that y over x could equal 4. Well, if they're both equal numbers, I need to pick out of the numbers of x being less than or less or equal to 12 and y being less than 9, then in terms of actually none of these. So all we need to do is just pick two negative numbers that divide to equal positive 4. So we could have minus 8 and minus 2, and that would equal 4, and that should be enough. You could have minus 16 over minus 4, and that would be another option. So there's quite a number of loads of options you could. So looking at question 21, it says Jill puts 440 sweets into small, medium bags and large bags. She uses 30 small bags, twice as many medium bags as large bags. There are no sweets left over, and what we need to do is work out the ratio of small, medium to large. So first things first, let's work out how many sweets are going to go into the small bags. So sweets into small bags is going to be 8 times 30, which is 240 sweets. In terms of the sweets left over, and that's going to be 440 minus 240, which is 200 sweets. Now let's have a look at the key bits of facts that we know. So we know that there's twice as many medium bags to large bags, and we know that there's 12 sweets and 16 sweets in medium and large bags respectively. So what we know, let's have a look at putting that in the equation. So we know that 12m plus 16l has got to add up to the total number of sweets that are left, which is 200. We also know that there are twice as many medium to 1l. Well, actually, it's the other way around. So in terms of this, so for one medium bag, there's going to be 2 large bags. So what we then need to do is substitute this all in. So using this, we know that if 1m equals 2l, then 12m's are going to equal 24l. Then what I can then do is, using this line here and this, I can swap the 12m for 24l. So what I've got is I've got 24l plus 16l equals 200, which gives me 40l equals 200. So l equals 5. That's going to be 5, and that's 30. And if there's twice as many medium ones, then that's going to be 10. So the ratio then is going to be 30 to 10 to 5. 30 to 10 to 5. Then looking at question 22, it says here is a graph of y equals x squared minus 7x plus 10 for the values of x between 0 and 7. Write down the roots of the equation. So the roots are basically the x ordinates where the curve crosses the x-axis. So this is going to be at 2 and at 5. Then it then says write down the x ordinate of the turning point. Now the turning point is just there and the x ordinate is just there. So what's this number here? Well, that's going to be at 3.5. Then looking at question 23, it says the time students spend watching TV are recorded, and here we've got a table. The time series graph is drawn to represent the data. The first 4 points are plotted for you, and the question is asking us to complete the graph. So what I need to do is zoom out, and then we can just plot the points. So 2016, it's at 113. So it's going to be around about there. And if you can, just do little gentle crosses. And then at 2017, it's at 100. At 2018, it's at 90. And at 2019, it's at 82. Now, again, then what we then need to do is very neatly is draw lines to connect those up. And I think this might be a little bit more awkward, only because. So, now again, always make sure that you are using a ruler and trying to be as accurate as you can. Which again, very. And it is important that you do join those points. So failure to just mark the dots would only get you one of them. There we go. Now the second, for B, it says use the graph to estimate the daily average time between 2020. So you can see that the direction here, if I just write down what, write down 20. So it's here. And so I reckon it's anywhere between this region here. So I would say any answer between 70 and 78 would be absolutely fine. But don't give a range, give a value. For question 24, it says write down the highest common factor of 75 and 105. So for 75 and 105, now what you need to do here is there's several ways in which you can do this. Basically, we're looking for the biggest number that divides, goes into both 75 and 105, that doesn't leave a remainder. Now, if you've got a Casio calculator, you can write products of prime simply by typing in the number and then pressing shift and fact. So I've got 3 times 5 times 5. And then for 105, again just type in 105, press equals, shift, and then fact. I've got 3 times 5 times 7. And then we want to circle the common numbers and then multiply the two common numbers together. So I've got 3 times 5, which is 15. Moving on to question 25, it says here is a cuboid. Assume that total surface area of the cuboid is 200 centimeters squared. And it says work out the volume. So looking at this, we know that the surface area is going to be 2 of these and 4 of those. So what I've got is I've got 2 lots of 25 plus 4 lots of the area of the green, which is going to be 5y, and that all equals 200. So simplifying this, I get 50 plus 20y equals 200. I get 20y equals 150, and so then y is going to equal 7.5. So then y is 7.5, so that means then the volume, which is what it's asking me to do, is going to be 7.5 times 5 times 5. Get the calculator, let's type that in. So 7.5 times 5 times 5 gives me an answer of 187.5. Then moving on to question B, it says in fact the total surface area of the cuboid is smaller than 200. What does this mean about the volume? Well, if the surface area has gone smaller, it means the volume will be smaller. Moving on to question 26, it says here is some information about time spent on social media by 50 people, and the question is asking us to circle the number of people who spent more than 30 minutes. Now, more than 30 minutes is basically adding and combining these two numbers together, which gives us an answer of 39. Question 27, it says, at a party there are 90 people, 48 are women, 42 are men. Some women leave and some men arrive. The ratio of men to women is now 10 to 11. Are there now more than 90 people at the party? Well, let's have a look by writing down the ratio. So we've got men to women, or women to men actually. Got women to men, and that's in the ratio of 10 to 11. Now the constraints in which I've got to work in is that some women leave and some men arrive. So I'm looking for a number that's smaller than 48, bigger than 42, and that I've now got to just check, and it's got to be in this ratio. So let's start by writing numbers in this ratio up. So obviously I'm not going to have any decimals because we can't have a quarter of a person. That's going to be 22, 30 and 33, 40, 44 and 50 and 55. Now if I just total up the number of people, now this one's not valid because obviously we're having less, we've got to have at least 42 men. So it's definitely not going to be those two there. So in terms of this, it's either going to be these two options. Now in terms of the women, it's got to be a number that's less than 48, so that cancels that one down. So the only possible option is this equivalent ratio here, in which we've got a total of 84 people. So answering the question, are there more than 90 people at the party? Well, the answer is no, because there are 84, and your working out will be all of that. Moving on to question 28, it says Alex and Bev sit 6 tests, each with 50 marks. The table shows their mean percentage after 5 tests. After all 6 tests, the mean percentages are now equal. In the 6th test, Alex scores 24 out of 50. Work out Bev's score out of 50 in the 6th test. Now for this, what we need to do is work out their total number of marks in the 5 tests. So total number of marks in 5 tests. So now the total number of marks in 5 tests, so the max score equals 250 because each test is marked out of 50. So Alex has got 60% of 250, which if we work that out, so here we've got 0.6 times 250, it gives him a total point score of 150. And then if I do the same for Bev, well, she's got 52% of 250, which again on the calculator, 0.52 times 250 equals 150. Now in the 6th test, Alex scores 24 out of 50, so plus 24, which gives him a total score of 174. Now Bev, how many more marks does Bev need to get a score of 174? Well, for that, all we need to do is 174 minus 130, which gives me 44. So in the last final test, she scored 44 out of 50, which, let's be honest, is 88%. Well done, Bev. Right, so looking at question 29, it says the solid piece of silver has a mass of 2.625 kilograms and volume of 250 centimeter cubed. Work out the density of the piece of silver. Give your answer in grams per cubic centimeter. Now, when you're dealing with density, it's really important that you do check the units. So here I've got grams, but I've got kilograms. So the first thing I need to do is convert this into grams. So if I multiply that by 1,000, I get 2625 grams. Now the volume for density is mass over volume. So all I've then got to do is 2625 divided by 250. Let's quickly type that into my calculator. 2625 divided by 250 equals 10.5. Then the next question then says work out the gradient of a straight line through -2, -3. There are several ways in which you can do this. It all depends on how you've been taught. If I just imagine a quick sketch of a set of axes, and I've got -2, 3, which is about there. That's at -2, and that's at 3. And 1, 9. So if that's 1, and this is 9, and that point is going to be there. And what I want to do is work out the gradient over this line here. Now the gradient is equal to the distance up, distance up divided by distance across. So if I then convert this into a triangle, all I need to do is work out the dimensions of that triangle. In terms of the height, well, that's going to be 9 take away 3, which is 6. And if I work out the horizontal distance, well, that's going to be 3. So then the gradient is going to be 6 over 3, which is 2. And that concludes the end of this paper. Now we'll put the grade boundaries of this individual paper in the description below, so you can see once you've marked it and tallied up your scores what grade you've attained on this paper too.